ladies and gentlemen, this is Verity Seeker, and I'm your host, Mark Powles, and we have a couple of guests here today that I think you'll find very interesting to hear from. We have Franklin Urquhart over here, and a community guy, and Wesley Keller over here on the other end, and notice his shirt.
You bait or not.
True patriot, yeah. Okay, but these guys have done a lot for the community so far, so I thought that we would go ahead and do an interview with them and let them kind of talk about what they have coming up and what they think about some of the events and, you know, the COVID stuff and the Trump stuff and all the other stuff that surrounds that. So I think you're going to get educated today. All right, so before we get going, I would like you guys to, talk about yourself a little bit. And Franklin, do you want to, how to spell your name correctly first?
Yeah.
So we actually get it right?
Last name is Urquhart. And I consider myself to be a pretty adamant patriot. I believe in the Bill of Rights 100%. And especially the Second Amendment. I'm really big on the Second Amendment, and I want to preserve individual liberty in this country. That's what I'm big on for the most part.
Okay. Yep. Now you live here in town, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Good.
And
go ahead.
So
Wesley.
I'm Wesley Keller. That's Wesley Keller, and don't you forget it. And I'm all for the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and and thanks to you, I now need to get me a copy of the Kansas Constitution so I can study that as well, and because that's just as important, if not more important. And when it comes to what we do in our off time when we're not talking politics, me and Franklin and some of our friends play music together.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I play piano, and he plays the guitar and the drums.
Well, I'll be darned.
Yeah. So
I think I knew that, but
but after we jam, then we start talking about all this in my big tome, if I can.
Yeah, can you hold? Yeah, please hold that up. And it says what? Malone Labe.
Molon Labe. Come and take it.
Yes, I dare you, right?
Yep.
Oh, now how thick is that book? It looks like a size of a 2x4, 3.5 inches, maybe.
Yeah. I kind of need a new one, don't I?
Yeah. Yes. Oh man, that's just crazy. When I saw that book, we had a county commissioner meeting here. Last week?
Yes,
was
Monday.
It? Okay, and they were deciding whether to opt out of the governor's orders.
Mask mandate.
Yeah, mask mandate for the entire county. Oh my gosh. And I tell you, these guys were about ready to do it. If we hadn't have showed up, you guys hadn't have been there, and people hadn't have done the research required to convince these people. And still, after all that information, they were still going to go with the governor's decree. That's what I felt.
Yeah.
And the people there they just kept pressing and pressing, and they weren't going to let them go into executive session or discuss it later. We wanted it now. They did opt out, but they wrote in there strongly recommend.
Yeah.
Or highly recommend, the same as what they did the last time. So guess what? The schools are going to continue to put masks on our kids.
Well, we can get into why that's bad later.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. I'm sorry, I'm starting to get off on a tangent here already, because that's a kind of a sore spot for me.
I did want to mention that it's weird that they have these commission meetings Monday morning when everybody else is at work.
Yeah,
yes.
I don't think that's accidental at all.
No.
I think that's exactly done on purpose.
Yeah,
I agree.
Because, I would have loved to have you there and our other buddies.
Well, think of the numbers of people that would come out of the woodwork for their kid. I know for a fact that people are talking to me in droves that aren't willing. Well, they're not willing to speak up because they're afraid of losing jobs.
Well, yeah, of course.
The students are afraid because of their principals, superintendent.
Yeah, and all the consequences.
Yep. Yeah, and they believe in this stuff. I know they do at the high school, and I'm not afraid to say it. Maybe a little less in some of the other smaller satellite schools. I'm not going to get into that too much. Anyway, I have something I want to read for you to get things kicked off.
Level 1.
You betcha. Yeah. It is kind of long, but I'll try to hit the main spots here, and then I want your reaction to this. Who would have written this in Kansas? Okay, and here we go. I'll try to read this. This is so incredibly sad, disappointing, and revealing, with serious allegations of rampant voter fraud. I carefully waited for the process to play out, to examine the facts, the claims, the law, to hear both sides and find the truth. Okay, by the way, this is about Donald J. Trump's tweet where he said, well, there were hundreds of thousands of votes cast where Republican poll watchers were not allowed to watch, not even allowed in the counting rooms, likewise with fake ballots cast and dead people voting. Now, let me continue. To hear the sitting president of the United States of America declare such widespread and blatant fraud, we all owe it to our country to carefully and independently search for the truth, the whole truth. So help us God, to put the process over any personal desired outcome. Okay, and he continues. In the first photo, you can see, and he says, over and over, Trump complained that Republican poll watchers weren't allowed in the room. That sounds deeply concerning, with room for cheating by Democrats. What he failed to tell us is that Democrats weren't allowed in the room either. They, says here, they were treated the exact same way. What Trump's own allegations reveal is that R and D watchers alike were equally allowed to observe the poll workers. But Trump complains they weren't close enough. He then wants us to surmise that election workers, our fellow Americans, somehow cheated while being watched by both sides. That is a remarkable allegation made without any specific allegation, much less evidence of cheating or effect on the vote count. Yet this was one of Trump's leading arguments, and it says, see the tweets, to bring this country into an uproar about stealing the election. Okay, just a little bit more, and then I want you guys to try to guess. Okay, by declining to plead it in the lawsuit, it means he lacked evidence of such fraud, yet continues to tweet about it. That is troubling. Okay, he says he's going to provide the link. Okay, this is on his social media. All right, I encourage you to read it for yourself. Candidly, the case may not be over. The Trump campaign may appeal. But regardless, what Trump's own campaign pleads, and more troubling, what it doesn't, says more about our president's conduct than what any judge or opinion ever could. All right, I'm going to skip a paragraph here. He says here, America is bigger than any one president, election, party, or movement in history. But history will judge this moment by whether Americans of all callings stepped up to honor their civic obligations or remained silent in the face of such serious threats to the continued peaceful, just, and civil transition of power of the world's highest office. If you have evidence or reasoned conclusions to the contrary, now is the time to come forward with them. Okay. Otherwise, the misleading tweets of the president undermine the fundamental values of our country. It breaks the fabric of our union. He actually got that one right. I don't pretend to have comprehensive knowledge of every situation in America, and challenging a member of one's own party is never a light endeavor. But if his Pennsylvania lawsuit is illustrative of his others across the nation, the time has come for the president to make a phone call and continue over 200 years of this country's tradition. I pray that he has it within him. Any guesses on who would have written that?
First of all, let me say, make me sick.
Okay, any ideas?
It's got to be a news station of some sort.
Okay, you're saying a news station.
Yeah, I would say so.
Kansas, I mean, I can tell you, I can give you a hint. It's someone in Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Someone in Kansas.
A news station, possibly. That's a good answer, by the way.
My other guess would be maybe the governor.
Boy, you're getting really hot,
Really hot?
warm.
Okay, can I
Yeah.
maybe name? Can I name a name?
Yes.
Mark Samsel.
How did you know? How did he know? I don't get it.
Man, he's smart. That's how.
See, you were real close.
You were very close, and that's what kind of I was like. Maybe I should just go a little bit below yours.
Well, I mean, when I was on the campaign trail in the Republican primary, there were things I knew about my opponent that I was trying to stay above the fray. But you're right, Governor
And
Samsel,
and Samsel, the representative.
very representative. And when he mentioned of his own party, when he's talking about Trump, I noticed during the campaign he put all of his signs next to Trump. He even had an ad next to Trump when he was promoting himself.
Yeah.
And he always put his signs next to Kobach during the campaign. But this does not seem like the same man to me.
He seems like a rhino Republican, just like Mitt Romney.
Okay, now
We need to get Mittens out.
congratulations.
Yay!
Actually, both of you are you're right on top of it
He
there.
won.
That's because I gave him a hint.
I'll split the prize with you.
There we go.
Okay, so talking about Trump.
Trump
Okay.
2020.
And you betcha. And the topic here is the fraudulent election. Okay, what do you know about the election? Okay, why was it fraudulent?
Well, because in Pennsylvania alone, there was 21,000 dead people on the voter registration. In Michigan, among the dead that voted, there was a man who was born in 1850 who voted Biden. There's a picture of Joe Biden walking through a cemetery with the caption of Biden thanking voters. So, of course, that's anecdotal.
I hadn't heard that one. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Then, of course, there's the Dominion software.
Oh, my.
And how they had servers that were receiving votes from America in Germany, and they would tally the votes and send it back. And they were, I don't have the exact wordage in front of me, but they were giving back the same statistical ratio of the votes, which is statistically impossible, which could only mean that the data was being, coerced to be exactly that type of split. We know that the voting software was flipping Trump votes to Biden, sometimes tens of thousands in some of the states and thousands in others, and we know that they were outright deleting votes. Nearly 3 million Trump votes have been deleted.
Wow.
Across the country.
That's not something you can overlook.
No. I mean, you think that might have a little bit of an impact on the result, right?
So what do you say to people that go, oh, yeah, it can't be possible? And you even have, like in Georgia, you've got a Republican in there who's...
Doesn't mean they're on our side.
Okay, good. We've seen that right here in Kansas.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously.
Yep. They're all... They follow the money.
Yeah.
They're all working together, Democrats and Republicans.
I've always told my family that it's easier for a Democrat or a lefty or a liberal to operate on the conservative side.
Oh yeah,
because these are fairly good people overall. You've got very Christian people over there. You've got more moral people over there.
Yeah,
and then you have a side that's completely resistant to most of that. It's so much more comfortable to operate over here and work as an operative than it is for a true constitutionalist or a conservative to move over to this dark side that it's not what it used to be.
No,
you'd have to have a strong stomach to infiltrate the other side.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah,
that's the point right there.
Yeah, I don't think I could do it, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think I could either.
You'd go home sick at night.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, but the Democrat Party really isn't all that different from its historical counterpart throughout the...
That's true.
Well, it's the party of the Ku Klux Klan. All of the southern states that seceded during the Civil War, they were all run by Democrats. All the governors were Democrats. And the people in the southern states really couldn't care less about slavery. The majority of them didn't own slaves. It was just the rich Democrat, congressmen, who owned plantations, who owned slaves and were in the slave trade. And so what did they do? Well, in all of the Articles of Confederation that the governors drew up, they cited their sole purpose for seceding from the Union was slavery. So, who were the racist ones? And what's interesting is that we just celebrated Thanksgiving. And so touching on that theme is Abraham Lincoln, after the Civil War, he wanted to institute a holiday to bring healing to the country and to show thankfulness for what we have. So he instituted Thanksgiving based off of the Pilgrims and the Indians' first Thanksgiving. Yes, Native Americans. They also were known as Indians. That's not politically incorrect. Ask this guy; he's a big fan of them. Anyway, so
we'll have to find it. What? Now, what?
He's a big fan of Native Americans.
Really? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I admire them. Their way of life and everything was, I don't know, I like it.
So you've studied some of the history and...
A little bit. I mean, I'm not an expert on them,
right?
But I definitely, I'm a fanboy.
Yeah. That's putting it aptly.
Sounds like another topic.
But that's not where we're going.
Yeah, go.
So anyway, that unity that the Native Americans and the Pilgrims had a 50-year peace after that first Thanksgiving. Before, things started to go south. But, those are because of different tensions. But it was a 50-year peace, and that's what Abraham Lincoln wanted to instill into this holiday that now leftists call as racist. So, but back during Reconstruction after the Civil War, there was a presidential election, and the Republican nominee won. He happened to be white, but there is a picture you can find that shows the different congressmen and cabinet members of the Republican Party who were black. Many black people had been elected to government during Reconstruction, and blacks in the South had voting rights that were ensured by militia members, military members who were sent there from the North or the Union to ensure that they were allowed to vote. Well, anyway, so in this specific presidential election, I forget which one, but the Republican nominee happened to win. So the Democrats struck up a deal with the Republican Party that will support your president if you remove the troops from the South that are, making sure that blacks get to vote. So the Republicans compromised with them because isn't that what we always do? We compromise with the Democrats so that they can have their way a little bit and we can get our way a little bit. They removed the soldiers and thus ended the age of Reconstruction and thus started the age of Jim Crow.
Okay.
That's how Jim Crow started, is the Democrats got that one jab in so that they could start oppressing the black vote so that no longer could blacks get voted into government, no longer could their voices be heard through their votes. Yeah, and that's where all this segregation happened, the white-only theaters, the black-only theaters, restaurants and stuff. It all started with that end of the Reconstruction age where the Republicans made that compromise with the Democrats in good faith that, you're going to work with us.
Right. The Republican conviction wasn't really strong enough. And yet you had this other side over there, and you had a lot of justices who basically destroyed progress.
Yeah, exactly.
By making unconstitutional opinions.
Yeah, and that's what the Democrat Party throughout its entire history has done. In fact, there was a Democratic congressman, I believe, or a representative who beat a Republican representative with his cane before the Civil War when he said that we should focus on freeing the slaves. Got up and started beating him with his cane.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which one that was, but
it's in a film. That's in a film by D'Souza. I think it's called Hillary's Country or something.
Yes, Deception. Yeah,
Hillary's Deception or something. But it's by D'Souza.
Right.
Dinesh D'Souza. Look it up.
I saw that documentary.
Yeah, very good. Very well done.
Okay, so basically, you've covered a topic. Is there anything else you want to cover on that?
Well, I've pretty much exposed how the left has always been about racism and segregation and, anti-Christianity and anything you could ever think of. That's what the Democrats stand for.
I think it's gotten worse.
It has.
The Marxist element has really grown.
Machiavellian, communist, socialist. Yep. They're just, the Democrat Party is satanic.
I believe that, and I think they love communism as long as they're on top.
Exactly.
Absolutely. It's all about being on top.
Yep. a lot of them don't realize that they're going to end up on the bottom
Oh yeah.
when it happens.
Oh yeah. All these useful idiots, they're never going to see
Yep.
any of that.
Like pawns
power.
and chess.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's exactly what they are.
Yeah.
No idea.
Get knocked off early in the game.
Okay, let me read some comments here. I just finally today I had the stomach to
Right.
watch Biden.
Oh, great.
I try not to watch the man say anything. I think it's illegitimate.
No.
I don't want to
Yeah,
watch
he
him.
is illegitimate.
But I did today because he gave a speech for Thanksgiving, and I thought, well, I'll give the guy a chance. I want to find out what the heck he's talking about. Maybe I'll learn something about what he has planned.
Right.
But I'm just going to name. I'm not going to read his whole. I've got it here on 2 pieces of paper, small pieces of paper. I'm going to read off some of these phrases that came out of his mouth, and I just want you guys to expand on what you think about these.
Okay.
Country is in middle of a dramatic spike in COVID cases.
Wrong.
Wait till I get done.
Okay. Sorry. I'll hold my tongue.
Let's put it all together, and I want you to build up all kinds of,
Okay.
pain, and then just let it explode.
Okay.
Okay,
We're good
on the viewer.
We're good at that.
Okay. Averaging 160,000 new cases per day. Now, wait a minute. Don't explode. Okay. Health system overwhelmed. It's our patriotic duty to slow this virus until we get a vaccine. Wear your mask. Meet in small groups. More testing. Entire country vaccinated. Now, the next sheet. Now, keep those in the back of your mind. Don't explode. Gratitude in face of suffering. The soul of nation has been forged. Again, facing a long, hard winter. 260,000 Americans lost to COVID. It's divided us, angered us, set us against one another. We are at war with a virus. Not with each other. We are all in this together. We have a fight ahead of us. So that's what I took from his speech.
Okay.
So where do you want to start?
Yeah.
Wherever your heart leads you.
You take it.
What do you think?
Well, just this COVID-19 stuff really gets me fired up, specifically whenever people start talking about the vaccine and the mask mandates and stuff like that, because I've done some research on this so-called vaccine that people like Bill Gates are trying to push, and I've looked into it a little bit. Well, money, but also it's got nanotech technology in it, which is specifically designed, and Wesley could tell you a lot more detail about this, but it's got nanotech in it, and it's designed to actually go into your body and take control of your cells, basically reprogram your cells and transform your memories, transform your thoughts. It's basically mind and body control. It's rape. It's literally rape.
Yeah.
And like I said, Wesley could tell you a lot more details on that. But
Right.
yeah, with the masks and stuff like this, I mean, I've watched a lot of other videos, done some research, and I know very well that these masks do not work. I've seen nurses, doctors talk about, demonstrate how the surgical masks, they keep it from coming out forward, but they go out the vaping stuff goes out the sides. Then the cloth masks that you see a lot of people wearing, it just goes straight out the front. So none of these masks really work. I mean, no matter what kind of mask you're wearing, it's coming out one way or another. And that's what gets me so fired up about these politicians trying to enforce these mask mandates. It's just it infuriates me.
It almost seems as though, they've. I call it a plandemic. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
There's a movie called Plandemic, and that's exactly what it talks about. It's all a plan.
And they've been setting this up for such a long time because we needed another crisis in order to continue this progress. And that's why I see, this is what I was thinking based on what you're telling me right now, is that Biden's being set up to keep pushing this virus thing to keep it going.
He's just a puppet.
It seems like it's kind of falling down a little bit, so they're trying to prop it back up.
Yeah, like Biden.
Exactly. Yes, literally. So,
And the important thing to understand is this isn't just the United States of America under attack. This is a global operation.
Oh yeah.
Australia's got it really bad right now. It is a police state. People are being dragged out of their homes, arrested for putting stuff on Facebook about anti-mask, anti-lockdown type stuff.
Just their opinions.
Yeah, just their opinions. I mean, people are literally being arrested, dragged out of their homes, and just for expressing their opinions of anti-lockdown, anti-mask type stuff. And
it sounds like the same thing that happened in Germany. What was that?
There
called?
was a doctor in Germany who was doing a live stream on YouTube who, during the live stream of him just expressing his opinions, he started hearing banging on his door. And in German, he started to hear, police, police. And he went to go check the door.
Golly.
And then he came back to the camera saying, I think the police are here. They broke down his door off camera, ran in and got him to get down on the floor, and they arrested him, all during his live stream.
We're almost there. Come on, people, wake up.
Exactly.
We're nearly there.
See, and that's another thing. I'm glad you said that, because we can't have this attitude that it can't happen in America. The Germans during the right before the Nazi occupation happened, they had that same attitude. It can't happen here.
Yeah,
and they were some of the most enlightened people throughout all human history. I mean, Bach, Beethoven, all these great people came out of Germany, so it's not like
Wagner.
It's not like they were stupid.
No,
they were very intelligent people, and that just goes to show how easy it is to become brainwashed. The most intelligent people can become brainwashed, and we cannot have this attitude in the United States of America. It can't happen here, because it definitely can happen here.
Yeah.
Well, they kind of work on this nationalism, I think. In Europe, nationalism was kind of a big deal.
But not in the same way that it is in America. They were using it for a different purpose.
Yeah, they were building people up into a frenzy to believe
we're better than you kind of attitude.
Yeah,
Right.
Not in how President Trump has instilled nationalism into America again, that we're proud of who we are, we're proud of our country, and we want to build that up for our benefit. Not what Hitler was doing, but the leftists try and conflate Hitler and President Trump all the time, and that's just not accurate.
And they compare the kind of patriotism that we believe in to what Hitler was trying to get people to be like.
But it's not by a long shot.
Exactly. But that's part of the narrative. It's they're right now they're actually tearing down, trying to tear down American
values,
nationalism and patriotism,
history.
Because America is founded on Christian principles and the Christian ethos. That's why we've been so prosperous, is because of that one fact.
But it's really fascinating to me how they're trying to make American patriotism look like the Nazi patriotism, not the Nazi propaganda.
Yeah,
and that's a way of tearing us down. And then they're going to build back up build
back better.
Yeah, exactly this communist crap.
Yeah, exactly. UN.
So for the viewer out there, I want to make clear that we're talking about two different types of nationalism.
Yeah.
Okay. There are two different types. Please understand that. There's one that results in something very evil, and it's psychological. And then there's another type that is actually positive, which brings about a recovery from that other way.
By the way, to that, I just want to say that the whole left-right paradigm is actually a construct in and of itself. Yeah. We call leftists and everything, but the whole right-left paradigm, they put Hitler on the far right, and they put they put Stalin or one of the other ones far left. Well, that's just a construct. They're all the same. They're all one, and there is no right-left paradigm. The only reason why left is important nowadays is because that refers to the Bible, the left-hand path, the path of Satan, the path of evil. That's why all of these leftists, these satanic, pedophile, abortionist, people, they are proud leftists because metaphysically it represents Satan.
And these Antifa members, a lot of these Antifa members have been doing satanic rituals in the street where they actually eat a raw heart.
Yeah.
This stuff is not, we're not making this up. This is real stuff. And
yeah. And you can find it. If not on YouTube, you can find it on banned.video.
Yes.
BANNED.VIDEO. Banned.video. check it out.
Yeah, some of this stuff is getting harder and harder to find on Google when you
Yes.
search things, or on YouTube. And, of course, Facebook and Twitter are not allowing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
They're even going further into truths, like canceling politicians who are trying to tell the truth.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
my gosh, it's getting pretty bad, and people need to wake up.
I mean, they literally put a red flag or whatever on Trump's tweets.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, this is our president. You're gonna try to censor him too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
Now, I will say that these are private companies. And, I'm going to say, okay, you private companies, if you want to do this kind of stuff, we're going someplace else.
Exactly.
And that's what everybody should do. Right?
That is what everybody should do.
Yeah.
We should abandon Facebook. We should abandon Twitter. We should go to new platforms like Parler and Gab and
MeWe is one that I've gone to. Yeah.
But we do need to support other platforms.
That's going to be kind of a challenge too, getting more people aware that these things are even out there.
Right.
These new uncensored platforms.
Because it's so easy to just go to YouTube.
Yeah.
But, but speaking of, big corporations and money and Antifa, who funds Antifa?
George Soros.
George Soros does. A bona fide living Nazi collaborator.
Yes. I don't know why that guy's not in prison.
He should be. He's a Nazi collaborator who said the funnest time in his life was going around rounding up fellow Jews for the Nazis. It was happy making time.
Wow.
He's such a creep. I mean, just putting it like that. Happy, like a child or something.
Yeah.
Happy making
He was
time.
a child when he was doing it.
Oh my.
You know who he reminds me
Well,
of?
a young teenager.
every time I think of that man, I see that, and I'm not putting down his looks, okay?
Right.
I'm not putting it down. But whenever I see him, I think of the Emperor on Star Wars,
Emperor
for heaven's
Palpatine.
sake.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's what he is. He's Emperor Palpatine.
Do you want this?
Yes.
I see the hate building up inside. It's just, I can see it.
Well, it's interesting. I'm glad you brought up Star Wars because one of my favorite quotes from Star Wars is what's her name?
Padme.
Yeah.
One thing she says right when the Chancellor takes full control.
Informs the Empire.
She looks around as everybody's clapping, and she says, "So this is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause."
Exactly.
Yep.
There's all kinds of messages in that whole series.
And that's what I see.
Yeah, exactly.
Going on in the world now. It's like liberty is falling, and people are applauding it.
Yes.
And they refer to it as the Republic.
The Republic, yes.
Yep,
That's
they
something
do.
George Lucas did very well with Star Wars. So remember, kids, episodes 1 through 3 are good. Nothing's perfect. Nothing is perfect, and we can admit that. But there is something of value in those movies, so go watch them.
Yeah. Get started.
Get
Come
started.
Okay, so what have we not touched on?
Well, I mean, we briefly touched on the coronavirus. We can get into more statistics about how the masks don't work.
Well, yeah, give us some statistics on that, and I'll try to pick some